She had always been called strong, but strength was a lonely thing. From the outside, her life looked powerful and untouchable. People spoke about her with careful words. Some admired her discipline. Others feared her authority. Many secretly waited for her to fall. She worked in a world where mistakes were remembered forever and kindness was seen as weakness. Every day, she walked into rooms where the air felt cold, even when people smiled. She had earned her position through years of effort, long nights, and hard choices. Nothing was handed to her. She came from a background that was very different from the people around her. Different values, different ways of thinking, sometimes even a different accent that she tried to hide. That difference followed her everywhere. No matter how high she rose, she was never fully accepted. It was as if she belonged to another planet. That was why people often described her as distant, cold, or strange. They did not see the cost of survival. Her days were filled with meetings, pressure, and silent battles. Every decision she made was judged. If she was firm, she was called cruel. If she was calm, she was called weak. If she showed emotion, it was used against her. Over time, she learned to show nothing at all. At night, when the noise finally stopped, the weight of everything pressed down on her chest. Sleep came late. If it came at all, trouble began quietly. It always does. A small mistake made by someone else was placed on her shoulders. A rumor was shared in whispers. A document went missing. A story was changed just enough to make her look careless. She felt it before she could prove it. Something was moving against her. People who once greeted her warmly now avoided eye contact. Conversation stopped when she entered rooms. She tried to handle it the way she always had, by working harder. Longer hours. More control. Less trust. But this time, effort was not enough. The pressure grew heavier. Legal threats appeared. Media attention followed. Her name was mentioned in ways that felt sharp and unfair. She was being painted as the problem, the villain, the one who deserved what was coming. Behind closed doors, she began to break. Not loudly, not in a way anyone could see, but piece by piece. She stopped eating properly. She lost weight without noticing. Her hands sometimes shook when she was alone. She told herself it would pass, that she had survived worse. But deep down, she felt something new. Fear. Not of losing power, but of losing herself. In the middle of this chaos, there was a man who existed far from the spotlight. He did not sit at the big tables. He did not have influence or protection. He worked quietly, doing his job without attention. He was known as reliable, nothing more. Most people barely noticed him. He noticed everything. He noticed how the room changed when she entered. He noticed how people smiled but never listened. He noticed how her shoulders tensed when accusations were hinted at but never spoken directly. He saw her exhaustion long before others admitted she was struggling. To him, she did not look dangerous or cold. She looked tired. They had spoken only a few times before. Simple conversations, work-related, polite, nothing special. She did not remember him clearly at first. He was just another face in a crowded world. But when the pressure around her grew, he remained the same. He did not treat her differently. He did not whisper. He did not avoid her. That consistency stood out more than loud support ever could. As the situation worsened, meetings were called without her knowledge. Decisions were made behind her back. She was given impossible deadlines and blamed when they were not met. One evening, after everyone else had left, she sat alone in her office, staring at a screen she could no longer focus on. For the first time in years, she felt completely trapped. That was when he knocked. He did not come with solutions. He did not pretend to understand everything. He simply asked if she was okay. The question caught her off guard. No one had asked that in a long time. She wanted to lie, to say she was fine, to keep the mask in place. But exhaustion won. She said nothing. He did not push. He only said that if she needed help, he was there. That moment stayed with her. Over the next few days, small things began to happen. He shared information that others had ignored. He pointed out patterns that showed the accusations against her did not add up. He spoke carefully, never dramatic, never emotional. Just facts. Truth. Slowly, she realized he was paying attention in ways others were not. Trust did not come easily to her. She had learned the hard way that trust could be used as a weapon. Still, something about him felt safe. He did not want anything from her. No favors, no recognition. He simply believed that what was happening was wrong. The threats against her became more direct. Formal notices, deadlines, warnings that her career could end overnight. She was advised to step back, to stay quiet, to let others handle the situation. She understood what that really meant. If she stayed silent, she would be erased. He saw the fear in her eyes when she finally spoke openly. She did not cry. She did not raise her voice. She simply admitted that she might lose everything. Her work, her reputation, the life she had built. He listened without interrupting. That night, he went home knowing that helping her would not be safe. He knew the people involved were powerful. He knew speaking up could cost him his job. Maybe more. He had his own struggles, responsibilities, a life that depended on his income. Walking away would be easier. Staying silent would protect him. But he had seen enough. The next days were a turning point. He refused to change his story when questioned. He provided records that others claimed did not exist. He challenged false statements calmly, even when warned to stay quiet. Each step he took placed him closer to danger. People began to look at him differently. Friendly smiles disappeared. Warnings became sharper. She watched this unfold with mixed emotions. Gratitude and guilt twisted together. She never asked him to risk himself. Yet he did, without hesitation. For the first time, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Someone was standing beside her, not because of power, but because of principle. As the storm closed in, she faced a choice of her own. She could distance herself from him to protect what little safety he had left. Or she could accept the truth, that sometimes survival requires accepting help, even when it hurts to do so. The part ends with both of them standing at the edge of consequences. Her future uncertain. His sacrifice just beginning. Neither of them knowing how much it would cost, only that turning back was no longer possible. The days that followed were some of the hardest she had ever faced. The pressure around her did not ease. If anything, it grew heavier. People she had once trusted began to distance themselves, offering polite words but no real help. Some even smiled behind her back, waiting for her to stumble. Every email, every phone call, every meeting seemed designed to shake her further. It was exhausting, but she had learned to survive. She had faced impossible challenges before. Still, this felt different. This time, someone she cared about was risking everything for her. And she felt a mix of gratitude, fear, and guilt that she could not shake. He, meanwhile, continued quietly but relentlessly. Every day, he worked behind the scenes to find answers. He double-checked information, reviewed records, and approached people carefully. His actions were steady, patient, and sometimes unnoticed. Yet each small move mattered. He was uncovering truths that others wanted buried, small pieces that could turn the tide. He did not brag. He did not demand credit. All he wanted was to ensure she had a chance to survive what was happening. For him, it was never about recognition. It was about doing what was right. One afternoon, the situation took a dangerous turn. A powerful figure who had been orchestrating the attacks against her called a meeting, expecting her to fail. The room was cold and filled with tension. Every eye seemed to judge her every move. As accusations were made, she felt herself shrinking, memories of doubt creeping in. But then she noticed him, quietly seated to the side, prepared with facts that countered every false claim. He had gone through all the details, anticipated every trick. She realized that this ordinary man had become her shield, standing between her and ruin. When it was her turn to speak, she felt the weight of the room press down on her. Her voice trembled at first, not from fear, but from exhaustion. She wanted to give up, to let the situation destroy her. But then she remembered the effort he had put in, the risks he had taken for her without asking anything in return. That thought gave her strength. Slowly, she began to respond. She spoke calmly, clearly, and with facts that no one could argue against. Each word she spoke seemed to shift the energy in the room. People who had doubted her now listened. The tide was turning, and she owed much of it to him. The man did not make a scene. He did not try to take credit or claim glory. His focus remained on her, but his presence was enough. Without him, she might have faltered. With him, she stood taller than she had in weeks. Outside the room, whispers began to change. People started questioning the accusations, noticing inconsistencies they had ignored before. Slowly, a sense of balance returned. The lies that had threatened to destroy her were unraveling. Even as things improved, there were consequences. He faced backlash for speaking up. Colleagues who once trusted him turned their backs. He lost opportunities and respect in certain circles. For a time, it seemed like everyone he had helped was turning against him. Yet he did not regret it. He had made a choice to stand for what was right, and he accepted the cost. She watched him deal with these consequences with quiet dignity. She realized that real courage did not always come from power. Sometimes it came from ordinary people willing to risk everything for someone else. As the weeks passed, she began to change as well. The experience had shaken her deeply, but it had also taught her something important. She saw now that she did not have to face the world alone. Power and position could protect her in some ways, but loyalty, courage, and integrity mattered even more. She began to trust in ways she had not allowed herself to before. Not blindly, but cautiously, knowing that some people were truly worth it. He had shown her that there were quiet moments too. Times when the world seemed still, and they could speak honestly. He never tried to impress her, never offered advice she did not ask for. He simply listened, offered support, and stayed consistent. Those moments mattered as much as the battles fought in public. They reminded her that humanity, kindness, and dedication existed, even in the harshest environments. It was not grand gestures that changed her world, but steady, honest presence. Finally, the crisis began to fade. The accusations lost power. The lies unraveled completely. People who had tried to harm her moved on or exposed themselves. Her position, though tested, was intact. She was not the same person she had been before. Strong, yes, but also more aware of the value of genuine support. And he had not asked for anything in return. He had given everything he could, risking his own stability to protect her. She could never forget that. In the end, she learned an important truth. Real strength was not just in commanding respect or achieving power. It was in recognizing and valuing courage, even in unexpected places. And sometimes, the ones who seemed ordinary were capable of the most extraordinary things. The man walked away quietly once the crisis ended, as he had always been. Public recognition was never his goal, but the impact of his actions would stay with her forever. He had changed her life by standing beside her when she had nothing left. Uncertainty. The story closed not with grand celebration, but with quiet reflection. She had survived, not because of her title or her abilities alone, but because someone ordinary had chosen to risk everything for her. And he had acted, not for fame or reward, but because he believed he was right. It was a lesson that would guide her for the rest of her life. Loyalty, courage, and selflessness were stronger than fear, gossip, or ambition. And sometimes, the true heroes are the ones you never expect.